Okay, so welcome to another edition of Real Estate Investor Talk. My name is Neale Petersen. I'm the founder, editor-in-chief of Real Estate Investor, South Africa's leading independent real estate platform. And today our special guest is co-founder and director of MortgageMe, Andrea Tucker, and she is an innovative online platform, that's MortgageMe, that offers a fully digitized home application process using just one application. So today we'll be chatting to Andrea not only about the company that she set up, and we'll be talking about the market and other interesting things, and also getting some tips and ideas from her. And so Andrea, first of all, it's absolutely wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Great.
So Andrea, you can see on my right-hand side, Andrea is our investor of the month. She's on our cover of the March edition of Real Estate Investor. That is available almost immediately. In fact, the big launch is today. And so look out for that edition. We can get some more info on that too. So Andrea, let's just really start at the beginning of, where did the career start in property? Was it something perhaps that you studied towards, or is it something that interested you? Maybe tell us where it all started.
So unusually for someone in this industry, I didn't ever set out to work in the property industry and had no plans to. I kind of entered the industry from another perspective. And my most recent experience over the last decade or so has been working in IT. And as a company, we have got a very strong and long-standing background in the PropTech space. And MortgageMe was in fact just an evolution of the services that we worked on for the last 20 years. And we decided to tackle the mortgage origination space. I'll admit, 4.5 years ago, I had very little knowledge of exactly how property origination worked. My intro into the industry came from a tech perspective as opposed to pure property itself.
Okay, excellent. So obviously that's probably part of your advantage, which I'm sure we'll expand on a little bit later, in terms of MortgageMe and, what sort of differentiates you from, a lot of your competitors. So maybe just tell us, how did that whole company come about, and exactly, I mean, what does MortgageMe do that differentiates you from your peers and your other competitors out there?
So kind of a 3-page working document 4 years ago. As I said, we've, as a company, got years and years and years worth of experience in the property space, but all of our products traditionally kicked in from the point of which a home loan had been assessed and fulfilled and was now sitting in the banking space. And we have got a full range of services that connect attorneys to banks, all the various attorneys and all the banking parties that all consider themselves part of the sale and purchase environment. And origination for us was something that we'd always been eyeing out. 5 years ago, when that work document was first originated, there was no such thing as a digital originator at the time. Anyone who's purchased a property 10 years ago, even longer, they would have spoken to an estate agent. The estate agent would have put them in contact with the mortgage originator. And that whole process has always historically been paper-based, time-consuming, quite confusing, and it's filled people traditionally with angst because they always see this process as one that they need to be handheld along the journey, because it's mortgage origination. It has to be complicated. It can't be easy to get a home loan. And in one page, when you conceptualize what MortgageMe was going to do, for us it was around simplifying the home loan application process, digitizing it, using the products and services that naturally fit in our environment, and just making it that much more simple, taking the fear away out of mortgage origination for home buyers.
Okay, so take us through a sort of an experience of, I'm going to get onto your website. What I mean, how is it? I'm just trying to look for something that gives somebody that pull in that says, MortgageMe, that was awesome. Do you want to maybe just elaborate a little bit on that? Yeah.
Sure. So when we conceptualized what MortgageMe was going to look like for consumers, we took what we had always experienced ourselves, and as the rest of the country had done so, taken that very complicated process and simplified it to the point at which we can now encourage people to become their own mortgage originators. So we simplify the process. That was one of the first challenges that we set ourselves, and took what is traditionally a very, very field-heavy process. If you're going to be applying to multiple banks, they all need to know something different about you. It was amazing just to try and understand. Certain banks had 200 or so questions for you. Other banks had 150 slightly different questions. So we distilled all of those separate application processes into one far more simple one. We do realize that it's going to take a lot to evolve this industry, and people are expecting to have that support, that hand-holding by a certain support representative. But as much as we encourage people to use the technologies that we put in place there to simplify the process, and they can become their own mortgage originators, we've backed that up with a service element so that people can ask the questions if they're confused around why we are asking for certain information from them or certain documentation. So it is a digital process, and a simple one at that, backed by the human element, because that's what people are still looking for in this space. It might be a completely different process as from now, but at this stage, South Africans need to be empowered. They need to know this process isn't actually complicated. If they need to speak to someone through MortgageMe, we've absolutely got that team available for them.
Excellent. So where do you see the big opportunities in the market? I mean, we know that it hasn't been easier. I mean, interest rates have sort of slowly starting to ratchet up, and the invasion on the Ukraine from Russia doesn't help, and it's obviously spiraling a lot of inflation, and obviously with that goes interest rates and everything else. But where do you see from a South African perspective, I mean, where do you see the big opportunities in the market?
So the opportunity for the entire industry is still there in the residential space. We, as a globe, are in flux. There are no certainties in life. You can wake up one morning and the world can look vastly different to what it looked like yesterday. But what people have experienced over the last 2 years is a shift into a more insular lifestyle. People aren't necessarily going to the office anymore. If they are, they're going on the odd occasion, and their lives now revolve around these places. Because I'm at home today, I'm not in the office. I moved into a house anticipating that I was going to live here, sleep here, and cook meals here. And it turns out I work here as well. So the industry is going to be the fact that people now see these places that they live as more of a haven than ever before. So they're looking for something different out of their property. People might be looking to move their entire life down to the coast, somewhere where the weather's better, somewhere where it's cheaper to live. And that element of semigration we've seen happen over the last 18 months, and I don't see that stopping. And all more benefit to those smaller towns because they're going to see the benefit of increased demand down there, which is great for them. Just as much as first-time home buyers, because they see these places as not just a home, it's now a haven, they are going to be giving themselves the opportunity to jump onto the property market. And we have seen, and I think we are going to continue to see for the rest of the year, a lot of growth in that first-time property buying market, which is really good for the economy and for people to be able to create wealth when it comes to buying a property that they can afford and enjoying what that gives them for 8 to 10 years, however long they think they can enjoy this investment for.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about some of your career highlights, and let's keep it to MortgageMe. I mean, if you want to take it outside, it's fine too, because you also had a banking background as well, and also some of the challenges that you've had to face. Do you want to maybe just share some of that?
Sure. So my career history has taken me through management consulting. It's taken me through banking. It's taken me into the IT industry with a very specific focus on property over the last 4 years. And it has been such an amazing experience for me to build a piece of paper, a 2-page document to something that is interacting with actual live home buyers on a daily basis, and to be able to control the process, to be able to influence the process and build out, we are hoping people find is the best kind of property origination platform out there, has been certainly a roller coaster. I've had to learn a lot about the property industry because I haven't had the opportunity of taking 10 years to enjoy building out a platform. When you work for a company that's been doing this for 2 decades, means that help and advice has never been that far away. It's a WhatsApp or an email to a colleague. It wasn't always easy. We faced challenges with back-end integration of technologies, but in order to stick to the vision that we'd set ourselves, in order to create this platform that simplified the home loan application process by using technology, we were able to push on through those challenges and build out something that can add proper and true meaningful value in lives when it comes to what has historically always been a challenge for them to apply for home finance.
Okay, so how do you see the future of mortgage origination playing out in South Africa? I know it came in the early sort of 2000s, and it was a bit of a metamorphosis in the whole real estate industry, because people were always dealing sort of directly with the banks, and then of course we had the global financial crisis, and a lot of things changed, and some banks obviously pulled their associations with mortgage origination companies like yourself. And so where do you see it heading? I mean, as a future, do you think it's going to play, what kind of role do you see it sort of panning out going forward?
So the Property Practitioners Act is now something that we hadn't anticipated was going to become a huge impact in this industry, but as of the 1st of February, it's live, and we're all trying to understand how this is going to impact business as usual for us. But I think the impact in terms of mortgage origination is only going to be a positive one, because estate agents are now going to be able to potentially have more than one possible source of origination. So we found estate agents have historically always, particularly on a larger national space, aligned themselves to big originators. But if they want options, and the Property Practitioners Act is all about making different options available to the consumers or home buyers or sellers or anyone in this industry. So to have multiple originators is only going to benefit the industry itself as well as home buyers, because you've now got additional competition. Competition is always great for industry. So we're waiting to see how that really does impact us, but we're anticipating a positive one. And we've also just recently made the home loan origination process through MortgageMe available to estate agents in partnership with Lightstone. This has allowed us to touch any estate agent who is looking to empower their own home buyers. So traditionally, the origination process has been kind of hand your documentation over to originator and they'll do it for you and they'll come back with offers. But for those people that aren't scared of technology, they want to embrace change, they want to truly believe that this isn't a complicated process, estate agents are now able to do a referral to MortgageMe at the point at which a home buyer has just signed an offer to purchase. And they are then empowered to complete that application themselves and go through the origination process with the true transparency between them and the banks. So you've always relied on a mortgage originator to send your application to banks, and they send you information as and when it becomes available. But through MortgageMe and through that referral process with Lightstone, those bank responses are going to come directly to you as a home buyer. And if you ever have any questions, as I said, we've got a support agent or team of support agents available to assist you. But home buyers are now empowered to negotiate themselves when offers come back from banks.
Excellent. So, Andrea, what advice would you give to someone who's considering to invest in property for the first time and obviously apply for a loan? What kind of insights and golden nuggets can you give them to assist them in that process?
So I'll always go back to the golden nugget of making sure that you're truly ready for what is likely to be a 10-year investment. So there's no right or wrong time to become a first-time home owner. There are always going to be environmental factors at play. I didn't anticipate buying a house in 2007, a year before the market crashed, and we could never have anticipated that. So don't weigh too heavily on external factors. If you or you and your family unit are ready to commit to a property in a certain area that is close to work, close to schools, close to your social life and your family, then, take a step back, and you are financially stable enough to pay off long-term financial debt for at least 10 years, then it's probably a good time for you to look at property. But before anyone goes to look at anything, whether they are looking at properties or whether they're still kind of a step behind that in the process and they're on any one of the property portals looking digitally at properties, make sure that you've got a very good handle on your finances. You know your financial situation is a stable one, and you know how much you can afford. It just means you're going to be looking at properties that you're more likely to be approved if you apply for a certain amount, as opposed to looking outside of your affordability range. You might be encouraged, if you do that, to purchase properties that you can't necessarily afford. So having a good handle on your finances, making sure your finances are stable, and having a good idea about what you can afford are probably the three things you need to do before you even look at a single property, so that you don't deal with the FOMO that you're very, very likely to face when you spend more than half an hour on a property portal seeing what's available at the moment.
Excellent. So what are your final parting shots there, Andrea, for the audience out there? I think you've shared some really good stuff, some really great insights. Is there some parting shots, last words you'd like to leave everybody?
So, as I said, there's never a great or a bad or a good time to buy property. But for those that are looking at becoming first-time home buyers this year, or those that are looking to make their home more of a safe haven for themselves and possibly looking at something bigger or something closer to where they would prefer to live, now is certainly the time to do it. With interest rates low, they may be going up, but they haven't been this low for 20 years. This is a good time for someone to buy a property. And there's certain pockets of the market where there are some really good deals. And if you're up for a good investment and a couple of days spent house hunting, now is a great time to buy property, I believe.
Excellent. So that's Andrea Tucker, who's Director of MortgageMe. It's wonderful chatting to you. And once again, I'd just like to bring to the audience, if you want to reach out to Andrea, go to mortgageme.co.za. Is that right, Andrea? Okay. And of course, don't forget to read more about Andrea in the latest edition of Real Estate Investor. Just go to rei.co.za. Yes, Andrea, it's lovely chatting to you, and hopefully we will see you again soon on our show.
Great to be here and chat to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a good.
Thank you.
Whether you are an estate agent referring home buyers, a first-time home buyer who has fallen in love with a property, or looking to see what you can afford, MortgageMe is here to help with our fully digital home loan and bond certificate application technology, making the process that much easier. Once you've completed a single online home loan application, MortgageMe will get back to you within 72 hours with multiple offers to choose from. Our fully digital application process is simple and effortless, and you're supported by a personal consultant to guide you along your financing journey. We partner with South Africa's most trusted banks to get you the best deal without the delays and mundane paperwork. You'll receive real-time updates at this critical time on your home buying journey to ensure that you choose and receive the best home loan deal for you. You're a step away from your dream home becoming a reality. Trust MortgageMe, the simplest way to get a home loan today.